What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here with Judd Zulgad on what is another quiet Friday, Judd.
It's been a unbelievably quiet week, Tom. I used to complain a couple of years ago. Winter Park. Everything was always this going on. Right. There was a Favre sideshow. There was some type of distraction. Now I realized the end of last year, 3-13 was pretty much a disaster. Nobody cared at the end. But for a regular season week, just a normal one, this is honestly as quiet as I remember this place. If I'm Rick Spielman or I'm Les Frazier, I'm thrilled by that.
Right.
But the storylines this week, you really look at them from a Vikings perspective, there's just not that many.
No, and one of the big positives, too, just looking at the injury report right now, one of the big positives for the Vikings is they are healthy. You look around the rest of the league, and just look at the past two opponents. Darryl Smith with Jacksonville sitting out last week, which could have made a huge impact in that game. The Jaguars also were missing one of their starting cornerbacks this week. Dwight Freeney sitting out for the Colts, which for a Colts defense that needs all the playmakers it can get as it continues to transition to that sort of a hybrid front on their way to the 3-4. That's a big blow for them. But the Vikings, at the same time, the only guys questionable on the injury report are Marvin Mitchell and Jarius Wright, who are not guys who are going to be huge difference makers, at least not at this stage.
Right, and I realize that the Packers drilled the Bears to open Week 2 on Thursday night, but you look at the Packers, right? Greg Jennings was hurt. The Packers had all types of injury issues in the preseason and training camp. And I am a big believer, and I'm not saying the Vikings are going to be good, but I am a big believer in sort of football/sports karma, which is things do have to sort of go your way. And in football, that's guys staying healthy. That's Adrian Peterson not only coming back, but playing well. It's Percy Harvin staying healthy. If the Vikings can keep this up, their karma is actually pretty good.
You didn't mention Blair Walsh in a 55-yard field goal after you get the ball back with 20 seconds to go at home.
And who did that save? Chris Cook. Because I've been talking all week. I still need to see way more from Chris Cook. If that touchdown with 20 seconds left gives Jacksonville the victory, then Chris Cook is a major storyline all week long. He's been a note. He's been somewhat of a storyline, but Chris Cook dodged a huge bullet as far as attention when Blair Walsh really saved his bacon.
Yeah, and one thing that I'll be interested to watch this week is how do they change up the coverages with Chris Cook, because you're trying to do different things. So what do fans always complain about in the Tampa 2, that it's too stale, it's too consistent, it's too predictable, and Leslie Frazier has admitted as much as they weren't able to mix it up enough. But the problem with mixing it up, the problem with playing single safety stuff, whether it's man cover 1 or cover 3, is you're asking your corners to have deep coverage down the field and to be able to run with people. Chris Cook, at his size, is not built to do that. Now, do they go into this week and say, hey, Chris, we're still running those coverages, find the football in the air? Or do they say, you know what, in some of these high-leverage situations, we're going to sit back into?
Right. And, Tom, we also, as media, as football fans, we do fall in love with the philosophies, right? You're a 4-3 team that plays Tampa 2. You're a 3-4 team. I mean, the Colts on Sunday are going to be another example of a team that plays a 3-4 hybrid defense, though. And more we're seeing that. The Bears, Julius Peppers, Pro Bowl defensive end. Thursday night, he's playing defensive tackle at times. Clay Matthews for the Packers at linebacker, lining up all over the place. More and more, these teams are getting more creative. It's really hard to pigeonhole a team now and say this is their style. If you're successful, your style is to really mix things up for the offense.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. We did see some significant changes from what the Vikings have done in the past. Number one being how much they ran single safety looks. I counted it was roughly 50% of the snaps that they were rotating away from the two-deep set, which is unusual for them, to say the least. And also the blitz packages were different. They didn't actually, when I added up the numbers, run them far more frequently than they have in the past. But what was the blitz that we always saw in the past years? It was the two linebackers on a cross dog, both crashing through the A-gaps. I don't think we saw that one time in that game, but you saw a bunch of different pressures, guys coming from different angles, corner blitz, a couple of corner blitzes, a safety blitz. They were mixing some things up. It does expose you more. You are more susceptible to the big play when you have one fewer guy down the field. Playing two deep coverage is the safest coverage you're going to get, because people are going to try to attack you outside the hashes, and they're going to try to attack you underneath.
Right.
There's a chance for bigger plays, but you can make bigger plays too. Need to see if this is going to generate takeaways, though, because that's what it's all about in the NFL on defense, is how do you generate takeaways. The only one they had in that game was not their doing. It was Blaine Gabbert dropping a snap.
Yeah, and the thing about that, too, is the linebackers and safeties. The thing with this defense, too, in recent years is the safeties, one, weren't very good. But even when Darren Sharper was here, when they played up here, Tampa 2, those guys played so far back that Sharper always complained, I don't have an opportunity to jump routes. It's going to be interesting to see now, as this thing evolves, if they put their safeties in a position, if they can do it, to make plays, to get interceptions.
One other thing we didn't see in that last game that I think we will on Sunday, when the Vikings are in their base defense, how do you attack Jasper Brinkley in coverage? How do you make him cover somebody? They've got a tight end that they like in Fleener. Let's see if they try to isolate that matchup, because I guarantee you the following week with the 49ers, that's exactly what they'll be trying to do with Vernon Davis.
Well, week 3 is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting. It might be a blowout, but it's going to be interesting.
This one's going to be interesting, too. The Vikings going on the road. We'll see how they handle everything.
Who are you picking, quick?
I haven't chosen yet. We'll file those tomorrow. You want to save a little bit of a surprise for 1500ESPN.com,
I'll tell you what, I find a real problem finding 2 game winning streaks for the Vikings.
Really? You're
Yes.
going to take the Colts?
I'm not going to tell you that. I mean, you're going to withhold, I'm withholding, but I find it hard to find 2 game winning streaks. Road games, tough.
He's Judd. I'm Tom. Full Vikings coverage at 1500ESPN.com. We will see you.